Here are 26 facts about cartels that you did not know. But before starting the video, please subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to get all the latest updates. We're going to be making more videos on interesting topics, so if you want to watch them, subscribe to us. Now let's get started. After the arrest of Felix Gallardo, who ran the narcotics business in Mexico, rival narcotics cartels began fighting in earnest. There was a brief respite in the war in the late 90s, but the situation has steadily worsened since 2000. Millions of Americans have been hurt and even died because they were addicted to painkillers they got from their doctors. The latest phase of the opioid crisis is being caused by fentanyl. Not narcotics companies, but Mexican cartels and criminals are the main ones who make it. It's thought that making fentanyl costs 100 times less than making other narcotics. Arturo, Carlos, Alfredo, and Hector Beltran-Leyva started the business. It once was part of the Sinaloa cartel. In 2020, the DEA reports that all brothers have been eliminated or apprehended. Though inactive in some areas, the organization maintains a presence elsewhere in Mexico through loose agreements with more powerful cartels. Several lesser gangs receive assistance from the Jalisco New Generation Cartel and the Juarez Cartel, as well as the Los Zetas. The Sinaloa cartel, which used to be the most powerful narcotics trafficking group in Mexico, has had trouble in the last few years, mainly from the CJNG and factions breaking off and fighting amongst themselves. The CDS reported they broke into three main factions, one commanded by El Chapo's number 2, Ismael El Mayo Zambara, and another led by El Chapo's brother, Aurelio El Guano Guzman Loera, and a third led by El Chapo's 4 kids, who are collectively known as Los Chapitos. Most violence in Mexico, particularly in the west and northwest, results from conflict between these organizations and the CJNG. The DEA claimed that since it broke away from the Sinaloa cartel in 2010, it's become one of Mexico and the U.S.'s most powerful. The U.S. Department of Justice believes it is one of the 5 most dangerous transnational criminal organizations in the world, and is behind the violence taken out in narcotics trafficking. El Mencho, or Ruben Oseguera Cervantes, may be the leader. In August 2022, narcotics cartel violence grew in Tijuana, Ciudad Juarez, Guanajuato, and Guadalajara. Guadalajara and Guanajuato erupted in violence when El Doble R was detained on August 9th at midnight. Cartel members fought with security forces and set fire to at least 25 convenience stores and several vehicles to stop security forces from getting through. At least 3 people died, 19 cars were destroyed, and 11 suspects were caught. President Enrique Peña Nieto, who was kept in office and kept up the fight against narcotics cartels and violence when President Felipe Calderón had begun. In 2014, Joaquín El Chapo Guzman, the leader of the Sinaloa cartel, one of Mexico's most powerful narcotics trafficking groups, was caught. This was a huge achievement for the government. Although the conflict between the Sinaloa cartel and the Cartel Jalisco Nuevo New Generación is the primary factor driving the current criminal landscape in Mexico, high levels of violence are also caused by the activities of 3 other major transnational criminal organizations, namely Los Zetas, the Gulf Cartel, and the Juarez Cartel. The 2020 NDTA is claiming the GU and BLO as a breakaway group that cooperates with the CJNG. Together, they use the same transportation networks to smuggle narcotics into the United States, the majority of which are now narcotics. It was established in 1920 with its headquarters in Matamoros, Tamaulipas. The aftermath of the breakdown between this organization and its enforcers, Los Zetas, occurred in 2010 and was described as the most brutal in the history of organized crime in Mexico. The cartel has now been broken into numerous smaller gangs competing with one another. A former member of the Sinaloa cartel later turned against the organization in their struggle for power in Ciudad Juarez and the state of Chihuahua. They remain significant in the vital smuggling corridor between Ciudad Juarez and El Paso, Texas. Made up of former top soldiers in the Mexican army, before they went on their own, they worked as hitmen for the Gulf Cartel. The gang is notorious for carrying out massacres, deceased civilians, leaving body parts in public areas, and broadcasting information about homicides on the internet. The CRS assessment states that the group's primary focus and funding source is not narcotics, but organized violence such as theft, extortion, people smuggling, and kidnapping. Michoacan is the state in which it was established. As of 2011, it's possible that there is no such thing. Despite claims that they would cease operations in 2010, the CRS found evidence of active cells in Guerrero and everywhere else in Mexico. Although it's widely regarded as the most powerful narcotics trafficking organization in Mexico, some experts believe that it's declining due to recent clashes between rival organizations and the advent of the CJNG. Joaquín El Chapo Guzman started it, and he ran it. But he was arrested in 2014. Then he got away in 2015 in July, and was arrested again in January of next year. He was found guilty in a U.S. federal court. The cartel may now be run with a more horizontal leadership structure than was thought. Based in Tijuana, the majority of the Arellano FELIX brothers have either been captured or put to death, potentially reclaiming power as a result of their alliance with CJNG. Mexico City Secretary of Public Security Omar Garcia Harfuch was hurt in a shooting. Mexico City Mayor Claudia Sheinbaum tweeted following the attack. In the aftermath of the incident, Garcia Harfuch expressed his belief on Twitter that the CJNG was responsible for it. Juan Gerardo Trevio, popularly known as El Huevo, was taken into custody by the authorities in Mexico after he's suspected of being the boss of the Northeast Cartel. Gilberto Rodriguez Orejuela and Miguel Rodriguez Orejuela, who started the company, were from the upper class. Gilberto went to college and worked as a banker for many years. He became well known in the financial world and got a foot in the door of politics. Gilberto Rodriguez Orejuela and Miguel Rodriguez Orejuela came from upper-class backgrounds. Gilberto went to college and worked as a banker for many years. He became well known in the financial world and he got a foot in the door of politics. In the Oscar-nominated movie Sicario, the character played by Emily Blunt and her team raid a house owned by the Mexican cartel and find several dead bodies on the walls. This is a joke about the fact that Raid Shadow Legend paid for this part of the movie. Mexican police have been dangerously fighting narcotics cartels for more than a decade, but they haven't had much success. The conflict has taken out thousands of Mexicans, like politicians, students, journalists, every year. Since 2006, when the government went to war with the narcotics cartels, more than 360,000 people have been taken out in the country. Between the years 2019 and 2020, the amount of fentanyl that was confiscated by Mexican authorities nearly quadrupled. Juarez's longtime opponent is Sinaloa. Located in the state of Chihuahua, north of Mexico's capital city of Mexico City, Juarez is also close to the United States' border with the new states of New Mexico and Texas. La Linea is one of the subgroups formed in recent years to take up policing responsibilities in the streets. Los Rojos is another group that broke off from the BLO. They mostly use kidnapping and extortion to make money in central and southwestern Mexico. Though several of its top executives were apprehended, the organization has continued to operate. It's been linked to the 2014 disappearance and murder of 43 students from a university in Guerrero State, along with Guerreros Unidos. The percentage of the massive profits made by cartels are used to bribe law enforcement agents, judges, and politicians. At the border, traffickers use a lot of ways to avoid being caught by U.S. authorities. These include hiring or disguising narcotics in cars or boats, bringing them into the U.S. through underground tunnels, and using drones or other aircraft to fly them over border walls. After narcotics traffickers in Mexico smuggle large amounts of narcotics into the U.S., local groups and street gangs handle sales to individual customers in cities all over the country. It's led by Ismael Zambara Garcia and is based in Culiacan, Sinaloa. Its primary areas of operation are the Mexican states of Sinaloa, Baja California, Durango, Sonora, and Chihuahua, although it has a global footprint. And that's it for today's video. So if you like this video, click on that like and bell button, and we got another video coming for you real soon, so take care until then.